Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another I'm so sorry, College and Career Pathways. I'm Toni Cureton, your host, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. we bring you information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, technical schools and training programs, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. Today we are with ISAIC, the Industrial Sewing Apprenticeship Training Program. Katie, we're so glad to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cureton. So good to be back.
You can go ahead and get started in your presentation.
Perfect. Well, it is so nice to be here with everybody. I'm going to actually share my screen, so bear with me here a second. And if anybody hears, I'm in the classroom right now, so you guys might hear some teaching in the background here. But I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what we do here at ISAIC, our program that we have here, and some of the opportunities that are in the sewing goods sectors, especially in Michigan. We have a really healthy industrial sewing sector due to the automotive and coating industries. So we're going to cover that a little bit later as well. We are a National Institute for the Sewn Trades. And we are developing programming in the future for things like machine support services like cutting, embroidery, circular knit, things like that, with the hope that we can continue to help reshoring companies do business here in America and trade skills gap that exists. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about ISAIC. Here's a picture of our beautiful factory. We actually opened our doors in 2020. Chaotic, and actually immediately went to sewing personal equipment because we had a sewing machine during that time. We kind of had to step in. So this is how it used to look. We're on the third floor above the Carhartt building, which is for a reason. Carhartt is actually our sponsor. They're one of our closest partners as well, and we do quite a bit of production for them. So if anyone has ever seen the black Carhartt hats with a little label on the front that says Carhartt, we actually make those in our facility here. And you can kind of see right over here our circular knit machine. So over there is kind of where we knit the fabric and then create hats out of it. So we are both a training facility and we are also a nonprofit. So we support underserved communities. We also support people who are in the industry that don't have resources to things like production or small batch manufacturing, because that's also an issue as well. Here we actually see one of our former employees, Heron, who now works making leather goods with one of our employer partners. And they're actually pulling off cut material from our vacuum sealed tape. So one of the things that we do is at ISAIC, we can't just train sewists because, you know, as people are bringing back production, there's multiple different types of new technology that has to be incorporated and noted because the jobs are changing in this industry rapidly. So whereas you could just be a sewist, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, now you can find better positions that have more flexibility to do things like operate cutting machines, operating sewing machines. You have information about things like the manufacturing or the supply chain. Those all kind of give you an edge over other people. So what we do here is we do a lot of cross training as well as have our apprenticeship program actually on so you're moving the product. What we don't do here is we are not anything having to do with design. We really support the manufacturing industry for industrial sewing. We don't teach design. You know, there's really, really great community colleges and colleges right down the road from us that do, like CCS and CMU. What not a lot of places teach is the actual industrial sewing and production part. So that's kind of where we start. So here at ISAIC, one of the things that we do is we look at sustainability. That means for an industry that is historically not very friendly to the people within it, we're trying to make it a little bit better. A lot of times, to go into a little bit of history about the sewn goods industry and kind of in America, what has happened is we used to have a thriving industrial sewn goods sector here. We did a lot of production onshore. In the 90s, NAFTA caused a lot of production to go overseas because it was a lot cheaper and prevented restrictions on how things could be made here. So a lot of the production went overseas, and with it, so the mechanics, the jobs, the specialty machines, information, even the training programs. So here, what we're trying to do is kind of reestablish that, also help other people who are in the industry that, you know, if we learn something, you shouldn't have to learn it twice, because there's a lot of people in our city and state still producing. And they haven't stopped sewing, which is great. So we serve industries like the boating industry, which makes sails or boat covers. We serve automotive industry, makes parts. Obviously, here at ISAIC, personally, we support the apparel industry. So you can see this is Al. She's one of our journey workers, and she's actually making capes for one of our clients. Like I said, one of the things that we have to focus on here at ISAIC is innovation. There's a lot of innovation happening out there already as far as people in the hard goods manufacturing sector, or just things like automotive manufacturing or plastics or, you know, molding or anything like that, that it works a lot better and it's a lot easier than soft goods like apparel, because for every single thing that you sew, you have to change how you're going to craft it, how you're going to sew it, what needle you have to use, and it's really tricky to be flexible and adaptable if you have to change your machine every single time. And you know, so the jobs are changing, innovation is coming. Part of what we're trying to do here is we're trying to look at the jobs that exist and determine what sort of skills people will need in the next 5 years, 10 years, and start training those. So here at ISAIC, for all of our employees, we actually have monthly training for both Industry 4.0 and specific topics. Like we have a group that's setting up a work-around factory for a couple years down the road, which is pretty exciting. But we try to tailor our training for our employees and our apprentices to kind of what's happening in real time. So if we're working on a research project, you're going to hear about it. We're working on soft skills, like we talk a lot about community. Because this is a training environment, we have to be really ready to learn, to accept criticism, all that other fun stuff. You know, you might take a communications class or what have you. So the hope is that by incubating here and working with our employees, giving them, you know, state-of-the-art training tools, they'll be kind of the people who are on the front lines of all these new jobs as they start. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm not looking at the chat. Feel free to drop anything in there and I answer away. So one of the things that you have to be aware of, and part of the reason that ISAIC is here, is because textiles and apparel industry is just a nightmare, waste and garbage. So just to be in this industry, you have to not only be, you know, so that you have to be actively trying to figure out a way to work against things like garments that are perfectly fine or slight medium or just going into a landfill somewhere else and becoming, you know, toxic or creating a horrible environmental crisis for a third world country, because that's where, you know, somebody is dumping all of their t-shirts that didn't sell. So just in your own world, think about how much some product that you touch every day. So like, a good exercise is always, as you get up in the day, kind of like try to track all of the different sewing products that you touch. Try to think about, you know, how long have you had that product? Is it, you know, holding up well? Is it good, you know, natural fibers, or is it, you know, fake fibers and it's falling apart? Try to figure out if there's stuff. Because part of what we're trying to do here is educate people about, you know, preventing stuff from going into landfill. We're very, very big on so repairing, knowing how to repair, having access to those resources like that, so understand what is repairable, and you know, so you don't have to toss the shirt. You can actually save it for another couple of years and hopefully prevent something else going into landfills. So fast fashion is just not great, and it's really up to us to kind of educate everybody about what's happening in the world. The textiles and apparel industry is just not great. So here at ISAIC, what we're doing is we actually just hired our second sustainability. Us look at our own waste stream and work in our ecosystem, try to figure out if there are programs that can mutually benefit everybody. So for example, there's a new technology called pin felting. And what that means is you can break down natural fibers and you can actually create a raw material that's like a felt. You can use it for medical you can use it for art, all sorts of stuff. So we've actually been awarded a grant to bring that machine here to ISAIC and start a recycling program for natural fibers here, which will be kicking out this spring. So another thing that you have to be aware of when you're looking at the sewing goods industry is historically it's not a very friendly industry to the people in it. About 70%, 75% of people in this industry are women. Here in America, as things are brought back a little bit at a time, you know, at ISAIC specifically, I will say our workforce is a little bit more diverse, half women and men. But typically, you know, women and children of the people are in third world countries who are working for very minimal pay in bad conditions. There's always questions about contaminants, things like fibers, things like chemical coatings on textiles as well that you have to be aware of. And a lot of places are just, you know, not nice, dark places to sew. And so what we're trying to do is also make sewing a little bit more attractive and appealing to people who are out there now because, you know, ISAIC's really beautiful. It's open, it's plants everywhere. And yeah, you know, don't have to have the sweatshop model anymore. We're going to have windows and people can, you know, be allowed to look outside and all that other stuff. So just since COVID started, the industry has already changed quite a bit. A lot of places were really rocked by having to find new suppliers, having to find new production facilities, things like that. Obviously, everyone has seen the rise of inflation. However, some of the benefits of that are more people are becoming aware of the fact that fast fashion is a thing. More people are becoming aware of the fact that there are human rights violations happening in factories, you know, so that we need to demand more transparency about who's making our clothes, our products, and where they're being made. And as things started reshoring back to America, you know, what sort of ecosystem do you have to support that? Because, you know, you have factories, you have mechanics, and you have to have, you know, places that produce the raw materials and places to store the goods and, you know, shipping ecosystems and all that other fun stuff too. So it's not just sewing that we're talking about, you know, the whole industry from top to bottom, having to kind of scramble to try to figure out what they can do to make it better. This picture of our factory. Like I said, it's on the 3rd floor of the Carhartt building. If anyone ever wants to come to for a tour, you're always welcome. I think we're having an open house February 22nd. I'll send Ms. Cureton the information for that so that you guys can come and see our factory if you'd like. But if you have not been to the Carhartt building, I highly, highly recommend it. It's absolutely beautiful. The 2nd floor actually has a great resource as well, which is the lunch, which is for things like, you know, drills and planers and all that other fun stuff. So we're on the 3rd floor. This is a picture of our innovation technician, Alex, fixing our direct garment printer. We have an industrial sewing training program, have an apprenticeship program here on site at ISAIC. And one thing that we are currently working on is partnerships and pathways for other jobs. So we've had a lot of interest for things like a spreading, cutting, sorting program, which would be, you know, encompassing repairing and spreading and sorting natural fibers, which is a big problem that we're seeing with things like Goodwill and Salvation Army. It's really, really hard to sort and use mass textiles if there's no consistency. So for example, if you have 2 t-shirts, they could be fiber contents completely different, stitch types different, makeups. So you have to treat it completely differently. And that's, you know, it goes hand in hand with everything else, which is the different sectors in Michigan have different machines, they have different needs, they have different skills. So what we're trying to do is kind of help everybody as unilaterally as we can. So this is a picture of the demonstration. We actually had Sobo is the robot's name, and ARM is just Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing, came to our factory last summer, and they did 2 summers ago now, and they did a demonstration of seam welding and a robotic arm sewing a mask, which was really interesting. We're actually partnering with them again on a project that you guys will hear about starting in summertime, but we're going to be working with a very established and old company on making a very important garment in tandem with robotics and human team for the first time. Some more information about that coming soon. These are some of the people we've worked in the past. Again, we are a nonprofit, so we are supported by a lot of really great foundations. Our program here for industrial sewing is called Fundamentals of Industrial Sewing in Production. And a lot of the times there is funding available for people who are looking for jobs or employment post training. That's really who we support. So a lot of these foundations have contributed either, foundation money for tuition or for, very specific projects or things like that. But it's really, really important to be able to show results and place people in the jobs that exist right now. Because right now in Michigan, there's about 90 places hiring industrial sewers. So our program here at ISAIC, we do have both a FISAP and an apprenticeship program, which is post-training. And the very first part of it is the related tech instruction. So this is actually the classroom piece. And it's called FISAP. We have it on site here at ISAIC. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how fast class goes. Monday through Thursday, it is now 8 to 3 o'clock. And really, you don't need any sort of special skills. You can come from an established background and still learn something. I've been sewing for many, many years, and I still took a lot of stuff away from FISAP. But we also had people from very different industries, from stuff like healthcare, hair cutting, things like that, and they have done it great as well. So the goal of this whole program is to introduce people who have no background whatsoever to the program, to our sector, our industry, and kind of what's out there, who we serve, what kind of jobs do you have, and what kind of skills do you need to get those. This is actually a little bit older. Did not have time to update this, but we're in our 11th FISAP course. We have 12 students this time around, and our class is 100% job seekers. In the class, we have 14 seats per class. Our next class will be March to May. People who are over 18 who have their GED equivalency degree are eligible. We are currently working on looking to change that because we really would like to have FISAP in high school, so that people after high school could, graduate with this skill already under their belt and go find an apprenticeship site. So the goal is, eventually we want to have it in either schools, high schools, so people can have, a high-paying job or a well-paying job once they get out and actually go into it. Currently, however, you do have to be 18 as well as have a GED. You have an exam, and ISAIC does do development of other trainings, not only for ISAIC, but we do consult on external projects if you have a specialty machine, or if you're learning how to do specialist process that you haven't done in-house before, we can support with that. Here at FISAP, there are 4 quizzes that you take in the course, and you actually have to take a final exam, which is sewing and writing. If you come to FISAP and you finish all that and you ace the exam and you ace the sewing part and the written part, you apply for apprenticeship, they'll ask you to come in and the sewing test and the written test. It's the exact same one. And the hope is that by doing that, we are going to be, hiring people from within our class who have that base level, but also making sure that the company is coming in with the same base level of knowledge so that we all understand why do people use different tools for cutting in different factories, and what does SPI mean, and how do I read a tech pack and things like that, because that's all really important. We also do make some sewn products. We try to keep things pretty generalized as far as processes. So for example, rather than saying, we're going to learn how to sew a t-shirt, we learn how to sew a t-shirt at the end. What we focus on in the beginning are the processes like reverse curves, which is the seam right here, things like binding, which is the seam right here. So it's all iterative. So we learn everything in order, that makes sense for learning, which is great. And actually our apprenticeship program is here, our production course as well. Again, when we opened during COVID, we originally had this production on one side, training on the other. We just kind of ended up in the same building. We are incubating a worker-owned factory, which is really exciting. We just started working with Democracy at Work Institute to, basically figure out how do we get set up for the incubation and what do we need to build and what do we need to have and what sort of people do we need to have trained and things like that. So if you would like to come here for apprenticeship, what that means is that you are going to be studying under it's an on-the-job training, so you're still learning, you're studying, and you're getting consistent feedback. So you're not kind of, just going into a new position. The goal is that you have, a little bit of oversight so that you're comfortable as you're learning. Here you can actually see Ronnie. Ronnie is one of our former apprentices, and she's actually putting the tag on one of those Carhartt hats. During the course, we also help with job placement. In Michigan, the big industries are automotive. That takes specialty machinery, such as walking foot machines. Boating is a big one in Michigan as well, which is, again, heavier duty sewing, canvas machinery. Alterations is actually becoming one of the biggest sectors in Michigan. It's interesting. So knowing how to repair, knowing about different textiles and different fabrics gives you kind of a leg up, which is really and like I said, we don't necessarily train people for design, but we do get a lot of people who are very creative and do design, and they actually are looking at this training for kind of improving their process, understanding about production, coming here to learn so that they can design with production in mind. We do offer graduates and alumni certain benefits for small batch production here on site at ISAIC that are not really available to anyone else, which is pretty exciting. If you're ever interested in applying for our program, you can get more information at isaic.org. Right now, the main person that we're funding and we're looking for is a job seeker who is looking for a manufacturing job. Somebody who is flexible and adaptable. There is a fair amount of learning involved in not only working here, but working in the sewing goods industry, just how much of it has kind of gone away. So it's helpful to be a lifelong learner as well. Once you are, sure that this is something you'd want to do, you can check out more information on the website. You can see testimonials. You can come through our facility and do a tour and see people building the hats and stuff like that. We actually have math and reading testing that you have to take to be eligible. Michigan Works will sponsor or pay for people who are looking for job placement. So if you're thinking to yourself, I like to learn work with my hands. I'm, a fast learner. I'm good with process engineering. This really sounds like something I'd be interested in. The Michigan Works process, and a lot of times they will pay you a wage class as well as cover your tuition. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
You guys, you can feel free to unmute and ask, or if you want, you can type your question in the chat. So, Katie, I have a question. You are targeting recent high school graduates, but the program is open to anybody, correct?
Yes, as long as you're over 18 and you have your GED or an equivalency degree. In the future, I would like it to also be open to high schoolers. So we're working on that, but nothing there. In the apprenticeship program, you do have to have completed the related technical instruction.
Okay, good deal, good deal. You guys, no questions, comments? All righty, then we will bring this session to a close. Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you all next time. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Bye.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you want to come see our factory, come down anytime. I'll show you around whenever.
Good deal. And make sure you send me